After Joker Folie à Deux bombed at the box office, you might be wondering, hey, where did they go wrong with Joker? We've seen him portrayed by Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight, Jack Nicholson in Batman 1989 version. So, how did this one get so wrong? Hey, I'd like to look up some lore about the Joker. And no worries, here at Studio Jake, I've got you covered. 'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side. Hi everyone, my name is Jacob Berry. Welcome to the Studio Jake vidcast where I talk about all things pop culture. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and if you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get notifications when I post a new vidcast and consider becoming a channel member. All right, so yeah, I am here to gift you 10 story arcs that you can read that are readily available on Amazon, eBay, some even at your local bookstore. But these are some incredible story arcs that feature the clown prince of crime himself, the Joker. Now, to other comic book fans, this list is going to seem a little controversial because I'm going to leave out some and add some in that other fans of Batman don't like. But you all know me, I don't care. I always go my own way. Okay, forgive me for looking down, but I'm going to be reading my notes a lot during this list. And by the way, these 10 suggestions are in no particular order. I'm just dropping them as I saw fit. Okay, so up first we have A Death in the Family, and this actually came out the year I was born. This features Batman and Robin, who was Jason Todd at the time. Dick Grayson had already moved on to become Nightwing, and so Batman took another sidekick, Jason Todd. He has not been featured in a whole lot of media, so you may not know who he is, but this is a good way to get to know him and the Joker. So basically, what happens is Batman and Robin are in Europe and they happen to run into the Joker, who has taken Todd's mother hostage. This leads to a brutal beating of Jason Todd by the Joker, and ultimately, he dies trying to protect his mother. It is a solid story and one that for years Batman has felt the ramifications of. He considers this his greatest failure. A lot of people try to make it where the creation of the Joker was his greatest failure, but in his mind, his greatest failure was not being able to save Jason Todd. So I highly recommend this one because it is a comic book classic. So now we come to the pseudo sequel of A Death in the Family, and that is The Death of the Family. And this is an interesting story where Joker accidentally kind of stumbles on the location of the Batcave. Now, he doesn't discover that Bruce Wayne is Batman, but he does use this knowledge to begin targeting Batman's loved ones. So he targets Batgirl, he targets Nightwing, he targets Jason Todd, who has been returned from the dead. That's a long story. Don't get me started on that. Damian Wayne, who is Robin at this time, lame, and Red Robin, who is Tim Drake. He targets all of them and simultaneously starts to try to get under Batman's skin through them. One of the interesting things about this one is just how frightening the Joker looks in this. Previously, Joker had had his face removed by another villain called the Dollmaker, and he gets it back and staples it on, basically. So it is horrifying and also really just shows the length Joker will go to prove that he is Batman's worst enemy. Now, if you want one where Batman is barely in it, it is just about the psychology of the Joker. That is Joker Killer Smile. Now, I picked this one up recently under the recommendation of a friend of mine, and I actually really enjoyed it. So basically, it follows this Arkham Asylum psychiatrist, and he is trying to treat the Joker, but he is told that he has only 2 weeks to do it. And the Joker seems to have knowledge about this guy, and he's really confused where Joker learns this, and he starts to fall into the Joker's madness as well. It is a really good way of seeing just how manipulative the Joker can be to people, how he himself understands psychology. And if you're looking for one that really shows that side of him, this is a good place to start. So this next one is simply titled Joker. It was actually originally released as Joker Dark Knight, but DC retroactively changed the title. This is the one where Heath Ledger's look of the Joker was inspired. Some people say that Heath Ledger was first. That's actually not true. This comic book came out ahead of The Dark Knight. They had begun production of the movie, but the comic book did come out before the movie was actually settled on everything. So, like I said, this one's called Joker, and it follows him getting released from Arkham Asylum. So he's not escaping, he's actually being released. And one of his thugs comes and picks him up. And the two of them form like this weird friendship. And this man gets pulled deeper into the darkness of the Joker. And this is another one where Batman only has a cameo. And you really get a sense of just how terrifying the Joker is. It tries to make you empathize with the Joker a little bit, only to slap you in the face with, "Stop doing that, you idiot." So, highly recommend this one as with the others. Up next, we have Three Jokers, and this is one for some reason that the fans don't really like. I think it's more about the anger at Jeff Johns and his perceived sort of connection to the Snyder Cut, or the fact that it didn't get released right away. But honestly, this is a pretty solid story. So it features Batman, who has always done battle against the Joker. He was there from the beginning. Batgirl, who was paralyzed by the Joker in one of the most overrated Batman arcs of all time, The Killing Joke, and then, of course, Jason Todd, who had been murdered by the Joker previously. And the three of them are trying to solve the mystery of the three Jokers. So, up first, we have the criminal, and he is more sort of the methodical Joker. You might recognize him. He's more like the Jack Nicholson version of the Joker. He plans things out, and it actually hurts when he laughs, he says, and he wants to share that pain with Gotham City. There is the clown, and this is more sort of the goofy prankster version of the Joker, who is all about being elaborate and very unique in the crimes that he commits. And sometimes he can be less lethal. It's not always about killing for him. Sometimes it's just about making a statement. This is more connected to the 60s Joker, although he is a lot more lethal than that version of the Joker. And last but certainly not least, there is the comedian. And this is the more familiar sort of Joker. This is the one that you might remember from Batman the Animated Series, although they do kind of combine elements of the Heath Ledger Joker to him as well. This is the one who is probably everyone's favorite. He's the most well-known Joker. And basically the three of them are on the loose. There's some debate on who created who, which is the original Joker, although Batman seems to confirm which one is the original one in these comics. If you really want to get an idea on the different versions of the Joker throughout the years, how Batman processes and connects to the Joker in weird way, and the Joker's impact on the Batman family. This is a really good one. It really explores those themes. Okay, so this one is more of a less visceral one, and it focuses more on action and adventure. So this is Last Laugh, or Batman Last Laugh. Sometimes Joker Last Laugh. Joker is actually found guilty of his crimes and he's sent to the slab, which in DC Comics is like the supermax prison, basically. He is told that he has a rare form of cancer. There's no hope of survival. So the Joker, he goes crazy. He has his men smuggle in laughing gas, and then he gasses all of the criminals in the slab. He basically turns them all into Jokers himself, and he goes on an all-out war, no longer just interested in Gotham City, but the world at large. This is during the arc, or I should say, this is during the Superman arc where Lex Luthor is president. And to make things worse, the Justice League aren't on planet for some of the story. So Batman and the Birds of Prey are actually on their own to stop the Joker. And like I said, this one is more adventurous, more action-based. It is a really good story. It really shows what a mastermind the Joker can be and the lengths he will go to pull off one last joke. So wanted to throw this one out there because it's a lot of fun, and it's also written by one of my favorite writers, Chuck Dixon. This is a more unique Batman story because it's not really connected to any sort of overarching era. This is the Dark Prince Charming. Bruce Wayne gets accused of being the father of this single mother's daughter. The Joker kidnaps the little girl to hold her hostage and demands Batman do some things for him to release her. To everyone's shock, Batman starts doing these things in an effort to save this little girl, and Harley Quinn is in the story, and she starts to notice that the Joker sort of has this odd need to care for this girl a little bit. He buys her toys, he feeds her, he talks with her and tries to calm her down. He doesn't try to torture her like he does with most of his other hostages, including children. And there's a weird twist at the end that you do not see coming. The Devil's Advocate. So this story I was really blown away with. This one has two giants of DC Comics, and that's again Chuck Dixon and Graham Nolan. And it is a fascinating story. Joker is actually found guilty and punished for his crimes, and he goes to Blackgate instead of Arkham Asylums, and he's sentenced to the electric chair. However, some clues make Batman think that the Joker might have been framed, and it puts Batman in this moral dilemma because an innocent person was killed and they deserve justice, but also the Joker is this serial killer. He's this mass murderer. Does Batman get him off because then he just goes right back to Arkham Asylum to start over? And he debates this with Alfred, with Robin, and it creates this weird sort of paradigm about what Batman actually stands for. And like I said, it is tremendous. You are shocked by the ending. So this one is more about Harley Quinn, but it is still a good expansion and back to the old style of Joker and Harley Quinn, where nowadays they want to try to separate her from the Joker. They want to try to make her a victim. Mad Love is not like that. It does show how the Joker is manipulative and he wants to manipulate Harley Quinn into being his sidekick, but how she was corrupt from the beginning, and that is Mad Love. In fact, it was adapted into an episode of Batman the Animated Series in its final season, sometimes called The New Adventures of Batman and Robin. Paul Dini, who is the creator of Harley Quinn, or I should say the co-creator, he really expands on this in the graphic novel version. So there's a single issue version, there's the episode, and then there's actually a graphic novel version where he expands on it a little bit more, and it is very interesting, and it's a good piece of Harley Quinn history and her connection to the Joker. Before I do my final recommendation, I wanted to do some honorable mentions. So there's the manga One Operation Joker, where Batman gets exposed to some chemicals and gets turned into a child again. And so Joker and Harley Quinn decide to raise him to be an honorable, upstanding citizen so he'll become the Batman again, because the Joker is just so obsessed with needing to do this. There's also Going Sane, which is a story where Joker thinks he kills Batman, and so he goes sane. It's really fascinating. Then, of course, there's the Year of the Villain one-shot, The Joker, written by John Carpenter. Yes, the famous horror director. He wrote his own Joker story. Now, this one isn't a graphic novel. It's a standalone one-shot comic. It might have been added into some collections, but this is one of my favorites because it's in a scenario where Batman is missing, Bane has taken over Gotham, and so the Joker gets like a little sidekick, and they do some nutty things dressed as Batman and Robin, and it really answers the question, is the Joker crazy or is he just evil? Highly recommend all of those. Now, for the next one, the final entry, it is In-Game, or Batman In-Game. It is part of the final arc of the New 52 Batman written by Scott Snyder. This is blow your mind amazing because it sets up a scenario where the Joker is bored with Batman. He basically tricks Batman into getting locked up into Arkham Asylum, and then he goes on a full-on rampage through Gotham because he is done with their relationship. He doesn't care about Batman anymore, and he is going to destroy Gotham. It is fascinating, it is visceral, and one that you do not want to miss. Did I miss any of your favorites? Let me know in the comments section below. I would love to hear what you think others should read if they're just getting into the Joker. Those were my 10 suggestions. I hope you liked them. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to give it a like, share it out to all your friends, leave me a comment and tell me what you think, and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get notifications when I post a new vidcast, and consider becoming a channel member. If you would be so kind, head on over to my website, StudioJakeMedia.com, where I have even more articles on pop culture, including comic books, manga, anime, movies, film, music, and so much more. You're going to want to head over. It's free. There are no ads. You just sign up with your email address or through the WordPress app. If you want to support the work that I do, head on over to my locals community. The link is in the description of the video. You can sign up for a monthly subscription, or you can send my articles tips. And I also post exclusive articles there that are just for my locals community. I also post short stories there that you can read. They're totally free. I hope you enjoy them. Speaking of stories, I have written and published 4 novels with more on the way. I have Cacophony, A Tale of Faith and Fear, which follows a group of angels battling demons in a war over some souls in a small Texas town. If you like paranormal thrillers or supernatural action, this is the one for you. If you're more into sword and sorcery, check out my series, The Seven Royals. Book 1 is All Good Things. Book 2 is Breaking the Stars. It follows a group of your favorite fairy tale characters as they try to protect their lands from a dark army. Book 3 is coming soon, and I'll have an announcement about it in the near future. Last but definitely not least, check out my latest novella, Blessed Child. It follows an elf princess who finds herself pregnant with a human child. This sends her elven kingdom into chaos, so her father, the king, hires a human knight to be her bodyguard. Now, this guy, he's disgraced, but he's on the path of redemption. He and the princess form an unlikely friendship through all the turmoil they are going through. It is about faith under fire, it is life affirming, and it is one you are not going to want to miss. Be sure to pick up a copy of this, the others, or all 4 on Amazon.com and leave me a 5-star review. It really helps out small indie creators like myself. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time right here on Studio Jake.
'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side, PCH country limit. I don't need a guide, follow lights, take me where I want to visit. Are you alive? Or just breathing? 'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side, PCH country limit. I don't need a guide, follow lights, take me where